This one's cool because I actually have a structure.
What's the concept album?
I followed a structure. Don't you want to hear about it? I know you do.
Tell me more, tell me more.
This week we're talking about Find Your Riff via a whole lot of Raff.
Copyright strike song.
Yeah.
Idiot!
God, I'm an idiot. This may come as a shock to you, but I talk to myself
Make a good conversation.
quite a lot. Not talking to Janine, not like, oh, you got to take the garbage out, or you got to go pay this bill, or don't forget to do that. I have imaginary conversations,
Good conversation there.
which sometimes are Janine with someone, or sometimes they're like one character that I'm working on with another character that I'm working on. As I was noodling around on Sunday trying to think about what I was going to write for this week's post, I started having this just weird conversation where I was trying to think of really inventive ways to, I don't know if it's dissing the way someone dresses, but
What on earth are you wearing?
if you see someone that's dressed in a style that's like somewhat well put together, but also kind of a little bit kooky, how would you describe that? And I was like, oh, look at you. A little bit riff and a whole lot of Raff.
Got to keep out the riff raff.
Where the idea is like, you're wearing something memorable. I mean, I just explained this. Stick with it. Something memorable, but then something that's a little bit rubbish that maybe like changes the tone of the entire outfit. I thought, you know, that'd be a fun kind of way to write post about riff raff. And I think, okay, what I should do is, if you think about a riff, a great guitar riff, like it's something that as soon as you hear the first notes of it, you remember it, it's familiar, then I should write it in a structure that kind of mimics that. So you would have a riff paragraph, which would be, let's just say, flavorful, repeatable, memorable. I mean, that's up for debate.
I'll be the judge of that.
And then throughout the piece, riff, then a Raff thing, then riff again, then a Raff thing, and then riff, etc. It's like, what I should also do is kind of do a little wink to well-known riffs throughout the piece.
Easter eggs.
So I Googled best guitar riffs. And as we go through today's post, I shall
Easter eggs.
let you know what they are if you didn't notice them. Some of them are pretty bloody obvious.
Obviously.
In fact, they're all obvious. I even sort of like winked to it in the header image where it's like famous guitarists who did the riffs. And then there's like a little riff raff from Rocky Horror in the corner, the actual character riff raff.
I'm indeed grateful to both you and your brother Riff Raff.
I don't know if you made that connection. Let us begin.
I gathered here today.
The riff is your delicious, that last lick hooked in the glorious tasty. It taps and floats within the unknowable space of an unlocked galaxy, existing between ripples upon the tip of a finger at the edge of possibility. It is the soaring, never-ending, locked-eyed bend. I don't know if you noticed, but the riff paragraph actually has words in it that relate to guitaring. So you have a lick, you have hook, you have tap, tips of the fingers for your expert guitaring, and then the locked-eyed bend. I've never done a bend, but... So that's the riff that is repeated throughout the piece. We always come back to the riff. Now, Raff paragraphs. I wanted to pick things that outside of the thing that you're good at, the riff thing, that you might try in a creative life. So the first example of raffery is to do with singing.
Can't sing.
It really rips my knitting that I suck at singing. I try though.
I'd rather just sing.
I used to be in the choir in school and something happened and now I just can't sing. Well, no, I can't sing. I will sing.
You're not going to do a song while I'm here?
Many people who have sat next to me in offices know that I do sing quite a lot, but I'm no good at it and I'm not going to come out and say, oh, I'm actually a great singer. I'm not.
I can't sing.
But I'm saying in this, even if you're bad at it, you should sing in the shower, you should do some car crooning, you should just belt out the song because it's good to be a little bit rubbish at something. I say here, Raff is the road map to riff. A one-nation army storming the endless beach of try.
Idiot.
So that's the first example of a riff, a very well-known riff in this piece. Yeah, I modified it a little bit. And if you actually click on the One Nation Army in that paragraph, it'll take you to a YouTube clip from Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, where he's talking to Jack White about how that riff is played at a lot of sporting games, arenas.
And it's one of the most famous, licks, riffs, tunes ever.
And every time Jack White hears it, he must hear, "Money get in my pocket." See, I can actually sing better than that, but I went too low.
Money's coming in your pocket.
Point being, that's the first little Easter egg reference. Not that it's very well hidden.
Call that an Easter egg.
And then we go further on, talking about make your neighbours cringe and your cats skedaddle. Smoke.
Copyright strike song.
You're an idiot.
But know that it is not and will never be your riff. It's just not something you're good at. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should always do it. Sing!
Sing,
Sing, I tell you.
sing a song.
And then we go back into the riff. The riff is your delicious. Next Raff is about movement, dance.
Wow, you can really dance.
Can you feel it? I'm not much of a dancer.
You're an idiot.
And now that I'm old, I'll never be. I know that. But that doesn't mean I don't dance. I do. Through this Raff, you will discover quickly where your rhythm lies. And that rhythm never lies.
What a coincidence.
That's some truth right there. Tempo elusive, flow unknowable. You will get no satisfaction.
Behold this idiot.
But a whole lot of love. You will walk this way.
Copyright strike song.
Now, admittedly, I didn't include Dance in the Streets, Shake a Tail Feather and a Rump as examples of riffs. They just fit really nicely. Moving on. We're back to your riff is your delicious. Repeat that again, the last lick, blah, blah. Next Raff. I'm a little obsessed with pottery and potter's wheels, and I really want to give that a go. That's a good bit of Raff I could do. Just throw some clay onto a wheel and stick my thumbs in and make all the shapes and watch it wobble. And I don't really have anyone to reenact Ghost with, but, get my hands in the slurry. And when you hear a classmate whisper to a friend, they should stick to... That means you've found some Raff, some quality Raff. Raff is life. For every born to be wild, there's 100,000 born to be milds. Oh, sweet child.
Copyright strike song.
Where'd you find this idiot?
I know what you think. Janine's lost it. I haven't. I've found it. I find everything through Raff. That's how I find my riff.
You keep the riff-raff in check.
You should do the same. Then we're back to your riff is your delicious. It is a soaring, never-ending locked-eye bend. And the final Raff relates very much to me. I've been trying to learn guitar.
Anyone can play guitar.
And I'm looking at the guitar right over here. I really want to write a song. I know that I will never be amazing at guitar.
I got my first real six string.
But I don't think that's the point. It's just something outside of my riff that I could do. Some quality Raff that is just so different from anything that I do. And maybe one day I will write a song. Point is, the Raff of the guitar picked up too late by hands that gnarl and snarl and can no longer open a pickle jar. I'm too old to be good at this. It doesn't mean I shouldn't give it a go. This Raff can smell your teen spirit from a mile away. That's a good riff. But here we have the problem with me is that the practice doesn't stick.
I'm talking about practice, and you can't do it.
I do it for a month and then I drop off and don't do it. And it's like you need to stick to the practice of the Raff.
We talking about practice, man.
I guess you have to decide whether you want it to be in your life or out of your life. Whether it's a good Raff to have that complements the riff, riff-raff, riff-raff, or not. And if the practice doesn't stick or if it's too hard and you're veering toward the inevitable campfire guitarist for life path, you must accept your Raff revealed fate. Back in slack.
Copyright strike song.
I mean, you can't get more obvious than that riff. Nor can I get more obvious in my just total ripping off of lyrics. Point is, that's a good raff, guitaring is a good raff, art's a good raff, dancing is a good raff. So many good raffs to choose from. It can help you find your riff, or it can just live nicely with your riff to give you something outside of this thing that you're good at. Kind of a break, I guess. You must practice your raff. That's what I'm saying. I'm not good at anything. You can be good at raff. Easy. Just try everything. That's what I say. This is what it takes to find your delicious, your locked eye, last lick, never-ending bend. I should get the guitar out and try to do a bend. I'm not going to, though. Well, that's all I'm going to say for this week. I don't really have anything else. Until next week, this is your captain signing off and saying sorry that my fridge is buzzing over there, which I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear that through these headphones, so there's that. Goodbye.
All I wanna do is